bringing me to you because I don't study. Then you can ask, okay, so what do you think? I'm more interested to know what you think about it. Do you think you study well? If they say yes, then talk to them about it. If they say no, then ask them why do they think that is there. Then after that, ask them, okay, what else do you want to tell me? Tell me more about yourself. What kind of a boy or girl are you? What are your likes or dislikes? Right? So let them handle the narrative, and not just pretend to, but take it from that place only. Don't follow the parents narrative unless the child is extremely young, let's say 2 or younger. Then maybe more time in therapy needs to be spent with parents, educating them about parenting skills, etc. But if a child is older, then definitely they should, we should spend more time in making them comfortable in therapy, making them feel safe in therapy. So instead of trying to change them, like if they say that my I see my phone a lot, right? I use my phone a lot, and that's why they have got me here. Then as an adult, we might say, but that's not good for you. That's not good for you. You shouldn't do it too much. It will not let you concentrate or do other things. Don't do that. Explore with curiosity rather than wanting them to change right away, because when we say that's not good, we expect that they would change as a result. But that's not going to happen in a single session or in the first few sessions. So the goal should be just to get curious and give the child some space to talk about what they are going through. So ask them, okay, what do you think about it? Do you think you are using too much? How much do your friends use? What else do you think you can do during your day? Right? And how do you feel when you watch screen, or when you use your phone to play games or watch videos? How do you feel about that? Do you get that kind of pleasure or joy or fun from anything else? So ask lots of questions, which gives them the lead, open-ended questions, so you can get to know more about what's going on inside them. And be curious rather than preaching anything. Self disclosure with children is very important. With adults, I would say, be very wary of self disclosure, not too much, because sometimes therapists can go on and on about their life and how they handle issues, but I don't think that's very helpful for the patient. But when it comes to children, self disclosure, like, when I was a kid, I also used to do this, or I have a kid who also does this. That is very important. That helps them relate. So if I tell a child that I also have a 4-year-old kid and he does this, then they're able to relate with me more, because they think of me as a person around a child. Right, so they are able to relate with me more. And then we can also talk about likes and dislikes. So this, I'll go back to this example that I was giving of a child. When we started to scribble, I told him, because he was not forthcoming at all, I told him, okay, now you tell me one thing that makes you sad, and then I tell you one thing that makes me sad, and then we'll keep going that way. So that kept the conversation going, and that kept it in a flow. He didn't feel like he was put in a spotlight and only he had to talk and share. And I also did that. So you can do the same. Like in your first few sessions with children, you can ask them, okay, what do you like to do? And first you go and then I'll go. Right, I like to do this in my free time. What are your favorite activities? What is your favorite thing to eat? Just about any question, that can help them express more of themselves with you, and that can also give you an opportunity to express yourself. So self disclosure becomes very important here, because that makes the child relate with you more, and that takes the spotlight away from them. uh, Fun childhood anecdotes, not nothing preachy or controversial, may also help one bond with the little clients. What do I mean by preachy? Meaning that when I was a kid, I would not listen to my parents, but then I realized that they are always right and I should listen to them. No, that doesn't help. Or meaning that when I was a child once, I ran away from home. Why that's controversial is because you don't want to put ideas in their little heads, right? But fun childhood anecdotes, like when I was a kid, I used to like ice cream, and one time I had a lot of ice cream and I had a brain freeze. Just harmless fun anecdotes might help them. but nothing too preachy or intense, right? That also helps. Now we'll talk of some other questions and techniques with children. In the first few sessions, the goal is not to move at all. So all of us who may be impatient, like some of us are impatient with very good intentions, like we want the kids to start getting better soon, right? But we need to be very patient. Our focus should be that this child here should look forward to come and see me. This child here should feel like this is a trusting, trustworthy environment, that they can talk and say whatever they have going on in their mind. And I'm just going to explore, and like I said, get curious about what is going on in the child's mind. So if we spend enough time doing that, then that would make our work easier in the future sessions. So that is very important. Like we talked about earlier also, using expressive arts therapy. Even when we talk about expressive arts, not just coloring, even movement helps, right? So if the child says, I feel very anxious when my teacher screams at another child, you can ask them, okay, let's both get up. You show me how your body feels from inside when you're getting anxious. You show me how your body feels. Does your body move like this? And you move your body and show them, does it feel like this? Does it feel like does it feel like moving from side to side, or does it feel jittery? How does it feel? You show me and I'll do the same, right? That in that kind of body movement also makes children comfortable. Or even play. Okay, you show me what happens in your class. Even if the child is very young and you can't say that you show me, and they show you with dolls or play objects, if you just give them those to play and you keep talking to them, inevitably they will end up using those play objects to express what they're going through, right? So so those are very important in getting a child to open up and to explore their inner world also. There are a number of questions that we can ask to build rapport. What are these questions? What do you like to do for fun? What do you find fun? What kind of nicknames do you have? Right? And then affirming those. Oh, that's so cute. That's so nice. What's your favorite movie, book, video game, subject? What sport do you play? What do you think are good rules, important rules at school? Can you tell me about your friends? Do you watch cartoons or videos? What kind of videos do you like? What makes you a good friend to others, or them a good friend to you? Do you have a pet animal? Tell me something interesting about yourself. And then of course, like a question, try to also talk about yourself and tell them that I also have a pet. Let's say I also have a pet. I have a dog named Tom, right? So that makes them more invested. You can also show them a picture of the dog. See, here is a picture of that dog doing this. So they first develop that friendship, or that trustworthiness. What subject do you not like? What subject are you really good at? Tell me something about your family. How's your family? Then there are questions which make us identify what is going on in the psyche of the child. Okay, if I gave you a lot of money, what would you buy? Or if you woke up tomorrow and the world was perfect, magically perfect, how would it change? Or if I had a genie who could grant any three wishes of yours, what would those wishes be? Right? What is your favorite food? What is your least favorite food? What do you like to learn? What things are you interested in? So basically a lot of questions about the child, while you also partly disclose areas about yourself, to to again, like I said, come on the same level as the child, that okay, you also have these magical wishes, I have too. So here we'll take a pause, and what we'll do is we'll do a role play, like most of you suggested you wanted to do. So we'll do a role play. Now I have two options for you. So one is where I would play the therapist. Of course, we would need one of you to volunteer and be be the patient. This, but for therapists there are two choices. So one is me as therapist and two is one of you as therapist. I want you to quickly, give me between two options, write one or two, and then we'll go with whatever you have suggested. Do you want me to play the therapist, or do you want one of you to play the therapist and later I can give the feedback that this was something you could have done differently and this was something you did well? I assure you, you can try and be the therapist also. I'm sure you do good job. I'd help you. So give me these options between one and two. Okay, so most people have selected one, that they want me as therapist. All right. Now I want all of you to unraise your hand right now. And then I would give you I want one of you to volunteer, like all of whoever wants to volunteer, we'll pick one randomly to volunteer as the patient. But I want one you to decide what age are you as a child patient, what age would you be? And second would be, as a child patient, what kind of difficulties would you be facing? So you could think of a child who is around you, uh, or have a case in mind, because we need you to have something in mind so that you can act accordingly. All right. So keeping those two things, what age are you? I'll ask you as the therapist, right? What age are you? And the second, that you don't have to tell right away. If I ask the right questions, you tell me. If I don't ask the right questions, you don't tell me. Okay. And the second is, what kind of difficulties are you facing? So we have a few hand raises. Organizer, please randomly select one of the participants to do the role of a child patient. Is there some difficulty? Yeah, I can't yet hear anyone. Is there some
Ma'am,
difficulty? Yeah.
am I audible?
Yes, you're audible.
Okay, good evening, ma'am.
Good evening. So let's say, so first you can tell me your name, and
Ma'am,
then
my
I'll.
name is ma'am,
Yeah.
my name is Lovely.
Okay, great, lovely. So you have the same name, all right. And what age have you selected?
Ma'am, 9 to 10 years.
Okay, all right. So let's say you have come to me, right? And then we'll start. Okay. Just think of a child in your mind who's 9 to 10 and what difficulties they are going through, right? And we'll start. Okay. Let's start, lovely. So, hi, lovely.
Hello, ma'am.
Please come in, have a seat. You can sit right here. Is that comfortable?
Okay. No, it's kind of this desk has this chair has same kind of the same kind of thali in which I used to eat at my home.
Oh, so then why do you not like it? Then you should like it if it's similar to your home, isn't it?
Can I sit over there next to you?
Sure, you can. Come, I'll help you.
Okay.
Yes. Is that better?
Yeah, now it's much better.
Okay, that's great, lovely. So, lovely, do you know who I am? Have your parents told you who I am, what my name is?
You are a doctor, maybe.
My name is Sanskriti and I am a psychologist, right? So, like you have different kinds of doctors of ears, eyes, stomach, doctors for kids. I am a doctor for feelings. So I fix people's feelings. That means if someone is upset, if someone is sad, if someone is angry, then I try to help them. Have you understood?
Little I have got, but not in a deep manner.
Hmm. That's okay. Do you have many more questions for me?
Yes, why is this? Why your clinic's color is black? I don't know. At the walls, this color I don't like at all. At my home also, my parents kept everything black in my home, so it's not that
Hmm.
good.
I also don't like black, lovely. You know, my favorite color is pink. What is yours?
My favorite color, my favorite
Hmm.
color is blue.
That's great. Blue and pink also look very nice together. So, do you want to use some blue and pink to color something?
Yes,
What do
yes,
you want to
yes.
draw? What do you want to color today?
I want to make a Doraemon and color it in blue.
That's great. And will it be okay if I make a little flower or a balloon next to the Doraemon in pink?
Yes, that would be a fun.
Okay, great, lovely. So come here, take these crayons and let's draw together. Let's draw a Doraemon with a balloon, with a pink color balloon. All right?
Okay.
You can draw any way you like, right? You don't have to try to draw nicely. I'm not I will give you a smiley or a star no matter how you draw, right? So just enjoy your drawing and let's draw together. So we start coloring. So lovely, tell me, why did your parents get you here? Did they tell you why they got you here?
No, they said that they will take me to some people, some kind of doctor who will
Hmm.
treat me. I have really fear of injections.
Oh, so I'm sorry, lovely, that maybe your parents got confused. You know, sometimes grown-ups also get confused. But I'm not a doctor. I don't give injections, I don't give medicines. I will just talk to you and try to help you. Do you think you could take my help if I wanted to offer you?
Yes,
Hmm?
we can.
Okay. So lovely, tell me, when your parents told you they are going to take you to a doctor to treat you, what were they what did they say was the problem? When they scold you, what do they scold you about?
They don't. I every time I used to play outside with my friends, and they don't like this thing. They want me to attend. They want me to go to class, music class, piano class, and everything. And they don't
Hmm.
want me to play outside with kids. They say. Uh, शी विल गेट स्पॉइल, ये बिगड़ जाएगी, ये ऐसी लड़की है, ये बिगड़ जाएगी, तो वो मुझे खेलने नहीं देते, मेरा खेलने का मन होता है.
Hmm. Oh, that's sad, lovely. But what do you want to do? What do you like to do?
I want to do drawing in my past time, and I really
Hmm.
wanted to play with my friends, but मेरे पेरेंट्स नहीं खेलने देते मुझे.
अच्छा, आप कितनी देर खेलते हो, lovely? How many hours do you play? Have you looked at the time? Do you know how long do you play?
टाइम तो पता नहीं रहता, 2 घंटे, 3 घंटे.
Hmm. Okay. And
मम्मी तो
what
मेरी
else
बात
do you
बात
like
पे
to do?
डांटती रहती है.
अच्छा, क्या कहती है मम्मी? What does she say?
मम्मी बोलती है इसे पढ़ना वढ़ना नहीं है, ये बिगड़ जाएगी, ऐसे बच्चों के साथ खेलेगी तो ये बिगड़ जाएगी, इसे पढ़ना वढ़ना नहीं है. मम्मी डांट
Hmm.
देती है हमेशा, और मेरी ड्राइंग भी फाड़ देती हैं.
Okay. मैं आपकी मम्मी से बात करूंगी. ठीक है, शायद कभी कभी बड़े लोग परेशान हो जाते हैं बच्चे के बिहेवियर को लेके, बट आई विल एक्सप्लेन टू हर दैट इट्स ओके, they should let you play for some time. But do you also study? Do you also spend time in study?
यस, मेरे मार्क्स माय मे आई मेरे मार्क्स भी अच्छे आते हैं, लेकिन फिर भी मेरे पेरेंट्स चाहते हैं, जैसे मेरे मैथ्स में 90 91 आए थे, तो मेरे मेरे
Hmm.
मेरे पेरेंट्स चाहते हैं कि मेरे 100 मार्क्स आए।
बट
वो
100
बोल रहे
मार्क्स
थे।
किसी के भी नहीं आते। आपकी क्लास में आते हैं किसी के 100 मार्क्स?
हाँ, मेरे आंटी का बेटा है, उसके मार्क्स अच्छे आते हैं, तो उसको हमेशा मम्मी तारीफ करती हैं कि इसके 100 मार्क्स आए हैं। मेरे मार्क्स अच्छे नहीं आते तो मुझे हमेशा मार पड़ती है, मेरी मम्मी बहुत मारती है मुझे।
अच्छा, मैं मम्मी से बात करूंगी लवली, ठीक है। मैं मम्मी से बात करूंगी कि वो आपको मारे नहीं, वो आपको खेलने भी दें, ड्राइंग भी करने दें। पर क्या हम ऐसा कर सकते हैं कि हम 3 आवर्स खेलने के बजाय खेलने के टाइम को थोड़ा सा कम कर दें, 2 आवर्स कर दें, लेट्स से।
थोड़ा
व्हाट डू यू
थोड़ा
थिंक?
प्रॉमिस तो नहीं कर सकती, पर थोड़ा थोड़ा कोशिश कर सकते हैं।
कोशिश तो बहुत अच्छा है। इफ यू ट्राई देन दैट्स गुड इनफ फॉर मी। आई डोंट वांट यू टू डू इट फॉर श्योर, आई जस्ट वांट यू टू थिंक अबाउट इट एंड ट्राई। विल यू डू दैट फॉर मी?
ओके, थैंक
Okay, great, lovely. Now see, we have made such a beautiful Doraemon and such a beautiful balloon. Let me call your parents also and show them what a beautiful drawing we made and talk about this. All right.
यू। यस,
And here is your smiley and your star. Beautiful job you have done, lovely. You're such a good girl. I'm so happy to meet you.
थैंक यू मैम, इवन आई एम हैप्पी।
Thank you so much, lovely. That was a wonderful role play from your side. And I think everybody also enjoyed it, looking at the reactions that we were getting from time to time. So thank you, lovely. And you all must have gotten, thank you all. Thank you.
थैंक यू मैम।
Yeah. Thank you. Great. So I think you all got a gist of what what we can do with children. We just need to get them to talk, and we get more than enough inputs from them. We just have to make them comfortable. Also rapport with children is not easy, but once the rapport is made, then everything else is easy, right? So it's just the rapport formation that we have to pay more attention. I would take one or two questions at this point, and then we'll quickly move on. Anybody who has a question related to rapport building, please do not discuss any cases as of now. I would respectfully, turn down any questions about any cases at this point. Only clarification questions and two, and then we'll move on. Yes. Yes.
I have a doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, okay, someone else. Can I speak or someone
Yes.
else?
No, you
So,
can speak, Sonal. Yeah.
yeah, so my question is that how long should, the rapport session take? Should it be like, in the first or 1 or 2 sessions, or sometimes it can take longer?
Hmm.
Because some kids do take a long
Yeah.
time to open up, even if you are, trying to make them comfortable, but maybe there are other
Yeah.
things which are, when they are not able to have that trust in you. So how long should that rapport session take?
Yeah. I mean, there is no hard and fast rule, because you're right, Sonal, that all kids take a different amount of time to open up. But that's not to say that we are not doing any work when we are forming rapport. When we are forming rapport, we are also uncovering a lot of information. Like as you saw, how Lovely enacted the role of a child, and in the process of getting to know the child and getting to getting the child comfortable, you also have access to a lot of information about them, like their parents beat them up, or their parents may be strict, or may say refuse a lot of things, or may have unrealistic expectations from them, and then what to work on. So it's not as if while we are forming rapport everything else is stationary. We are also moving forward at the same time. But yes, we might need, with some kids one session may be enough. With some kids we may need as many as 4 or 5 sessions for rapport building, like for adequate rapport building. Right, one more question and then we move forward, and rest of the questions at the end. Yes.
Hello, ma'am.
Yeah, hello.
Ma'am, when you talked about rapport building, if the parents are authoritarian or authoritative, uh,
Hmm.
how will we build a rapport with a child? Even though we convince the child that we will make some time for the play, but when we are trying to convince the parent as well, how do we make the rapport with the parents?
That's a very interesting question, because with parents, they also, if they're coming with certain mindset, let's say they're coming with the mindset that we have to be strict, right? And if I tell the parents that no, this is not the right thing, why are you telling the child to not play and only study? And they might say that how can you suggest that I tell my child to not study or not study as much? But for that, what is important is, which is important for anyone, for all of us as clinicians and psychotherapists, that we don't come from a place of judgment. Even if those parents have this view that my child should only study, and let's say the child is only 10-year-old, we don't tell them or preach like we are coming from a place of authority and they should listen to us. We ask them their views about it, and we ask them, okay, what do you think is the impact of this on your child? Do you think you should change your approach a bit? I feel like I always say, people who have attended workshops with me, the 1 month training courses, would know that I always say that questions are the most important tools of a clinician. So ask questions, that what do you think is the impact of you saying that they should only study and not play on the child. uh, when you were a kid, do you wish back then, did you wish that something was done differently? A lot of parents would even say that I know my parents were strict back then, but now I appreciate it. Right, I'm sure you all have heard of it, that now that I'm older, I appreciate my parents for being stricter with me, so I appreciate it. But the question is that, did you like it as a child? And if now you can identify it, you can you feel thankful for it. Is it still, and maybe your kids will too, but is it worth disrupting your rapport with kids at this age? So in a very non-threatening, non-accusatory manner, you just ask a lot of questions to the parents and get them to be on board. And sometimes even parents might not be ready to hear the whole truth in one session, so you just ask a few questions and you leave it at that. That will depend on your clinical judgment, right? So we have to go easy as clinicians, try to understand the parenting style of the parents in front of us, which also brings us to the next part, which is impact of parenting styles on a child's mind and behavior. Thank you all for appreciating. As we are going for Nazia, who's written a question in the chat box, I would like to say, with adolescents, how you build rapport is again by treating them as equals as adults. Because adolescents are, they might not have the psychological sophisticatedness of an adult, but they are growing children. So you treat them respectfully, and again you ask them a lot of questions. If their parents have got them with with a problematic behavior, like say screen addiction, or having friends who are not good influences, still ask them what do they think are the costs and benefits or pros and cons of that. Get them to tell you about their strengths. So treat them as equals as adults, and that would be a good way to form rapport with adolescents. So there are, as you all know, and we know, even talked about it, that there are different parenting styles, and they have a different impact on a child's mind and behavior. Why we need to know this is because there is a saying in child psychotherapy, which is, you don't treat a child, you treat the family. So it's very important for us to know what kind of parents do we have in front of us. Now, parenting styles, this concept was first described by Diana Baumrind and then by Maccabee and Martin, who expanded on it. And it refers to the degree to which parents respond to their child's need. What is responding to the child's need? As simple as a young child or an infant crying and parents picking the infant up in their lap, or as simple as a toddler throwing a temper tantrum because their favorite toy was moved to a different place, and parent responding to that need, that emotional need that they have of things being in place, right? It's so the main thing here is responsiveness, and also the disciplinary strategies, or the control that they exert on the child, right? The combination of the two. Now, how does the combination of the two pan out in terms of the four styles? So like we talked about, there are two traits that are measured on in parenting styles: responsiveness and demandingness. Demandingness is what? The expectations that the parents place on the child. My child should do this or should not do that. Responsiveness, like I described, is how responsive we are to the child's need, which may be apparent or may not be apparent. Like our child may be shy, and he may have this need to not be social or vocal with any guest that we have, right? But parents might say that no, go greet the guest, say, do namaste, touch their feet, right? If they do that and the child is basically inherently shy and introverted and need time to warm up, then they are not being responsive to the child's need, right? That is responsiveness. Demandingness is again that my child should always behave in this manner. If my child did not score well this one time, then it's disastrous. My child should always score well. So in terms of these four criteria, when we talk of parents who have high demandingness but low responsiveness, are authoritarian parents. Unfortunately, a lot of parents of earlier generation have been authoritarian in our society. Indifferent are parents who have low responsiveness, low demandingness. These are parents who are exhausted with their roles of being the parent also. They may be indifferent, the kuch bhi karo approach, do whatever you want to, and I'm just out of here. I don't have any expectation. I don't want to respond to your need. Then indulgent are the parents for whom we say कि लाड़ प्यार से बच्चे को बिगाड़ दिया है, right? That they're too soft. They are very responsive. Whatever the child needs, they're there. But when it comes to placing boundaries on a child's behavior, then that they're not doing. So their children are hitting them. I'll give you an example of an adult patient who used to hit his mother, and his mother told me that when he hits me, I just sit in a corner so that I don't get thrown here and there and don't get bruises, right? So that was what high, even though she was responsive to that need of the child to hit, of a grown up child then, to hit, but she was not demanding from him that he treat his mother with respect, and she was just giving into it that let me just sit in a corner so that I don't get thrown here and there and take the beating. But what is right is authoritative style, in which the parents are responsive to the child's need as well, but they are demanding as well, in which they say that I understand that you're mad because you had a fight with your friend today, but I will not let you hit me. So the parent is saying that I understand, validating the child's need or emotions, but still saying I will not let you hit me, or I will not let you throw these things. Talking more about these parenting styles, authoritarian we know is too hard, where children are expected to follow strict rules and there are strict punishments. So parents who, like one of my patients was telling me that as a child my parents used to lock me in the balcony and I would keep crying. Authoritarian, right? Or one person, I mean, I'm a bit sad how many people deal with authoritarian styles. One person just today morning told me, a new patient, that once I shut the door too hard after walking, after an argument with my father, and he came and he tore my t-shirt apart. Authoritarian style, because this punishment is not in proportion with what the child did, and this is placing that very high demandingness on the child, that you should never indulge in, you should never have even minor emotional outbursts. So these parents want their children to be obedient and follow whatever they're saying without questioning. In popular culture, I would say those of us who've watched Rocky and Rani, the character played by Jaya Bachchan, she would be an authoritarian parent, right? You should be obedient, you should obey without questioning. There should be no questions. And what would this type of parenting child lead to? Like the movie shows, children who are obedient and who are very good, extremely well in their career, they may be, because in an attempt to please the parent, they may do very well in their careers, they may be obedient, but they are not self confident, they are not happy. So even abusive parents fall in this category, where the focus is only on discipline, on obedience, and not over discipline, which is teaching the right skills to the child. Now, what is permissive parenting or too soft parenting? Like we said, लाड प्यार से बिगाड़ने वाले parents जो है हम एक term use करते हैं, though लाड प्यार or pampering in itself is not bad. It is bad only when demands are not placed on the child on how they are expected to behave. That you are not expected to throw your toys, you shouldn't hit people, you shouldn't behave in this manner, because all children, no matter what kind of parenting they get, at some or the other point do try all these things. They try to throw things, or they try to hit people, and it's only the demands we place on them at that time that this is not allowed. Or throwing your toys means that you will not get access to your toy for a day. It is only when we place those demands that they become what they, not then they become more sensible. But when we don't place those demands, when we say अरे बच्चा है कोई बात नहीं, फेंक दिया तो कोई बात नहीं, मार दिया तो कोई बात नहीं, then what happens? Then they become spoiled or self-centered, and they do not perform well in school also. Of course, these are generic statements. Some child with permissive upbringing may also do well, but this is in general how we see, right? Authoritative style, like we said, is just right. So in this, parents say that, okay, I understand that you're upset, because let's say you're upset because your father has gone for a trip and you miss him, but I will not let you throw things, or I will not let you scream at the top of your voice, or I will not let you skip school because of that. You need to go to school. Let me hug you, let me kiss you, let me give you all the love, but you need to go to school, or you need to do your homework. So responding to the child, and at the same time disciplining them also as teaching. Discipline is often incorrectly understood as punishing, right? But this is disciplining as teaching. So children that who have authoritative parents are most happy, capable, and successful, as we all can imagine as psychologists. Thank you all for the continuous reinforcement. I'm enjoying it. Thank you, grateful for it. Uninvolved parenting style is characterized by few demands and low responsiveness. The parents are just simply, if I may say so, not fit to be parents. They do not want to respond to the child's need, and they do not have any demands on the child also. If you're feeling upset, I will not come and I will not come and comfort you. If you're misbehaving, I will not stop you, right? So as you see, the smartphones may be one fueling factor for this kind of parenting style, right? Involvement in this, and I think this is also a kind of an epidemic in our times that is happening. And what happens with uninvolved parenting style? It's children lack self control, they have low self esteem, because they grow up believing that I am unlovable. That is the reason my parents were never responsive. That is the reason why my parents never took care of me, because I am unlovable, I am inadequate. So they grow up having low self esteem, and even if they get really, at a good place in their careers, the low self esteem, the inadequacy stays. So all the researches that have been done suggest that authoritative parenting style is the best, that you be responsive to your child's needs, validate their needs, but still uphold the boundaries or the rules that you want, or that you have in your home. Now we have two cases for you, and we want you to identify the parenting style in the comment box. Let's see. The first case is Jay is a 9-year-old male child. He was observed to be stealing stationery from his classmates by his class teacher. His parents were informed of the same. His mother scolded him for bringing a bad name to the family, and father beat him up and made him promise that he would never do anything like this ever again. They told him that if they ever notice something like this again, they are going to send him to boarding school. They stopped talking to him for a few days as a way to punish him further, and advised the school also to take strict action if found doing so again. They said if you want to hit him, you hit him. But this should stop. Now, what kind of parenting style is this? Comment in the chat box. Authoritarian. Yes, a lot of you have already identified it. Anyway, whenever we read beating up, hitting, even though it's so normalized, it's upsetting how normal this is considered, beating up children. It has to be done. Parents say it has to be done. But anyway, this is a part of authoritarian parenting style, because it's harsh disciplining is never considered appropriate in psychology. Second case, A is an 11-year-old girl studying in the 6th standard. Her mother came across her fake profile on a social media site. She also saw some disturbing, inappropriate text exchanges between her and a stranger. She was alarmed. She confronted A with this information and asked her what was going on in her mind when she decided to indulge in such actions. She reassured her that she just wants to understand her and help her out. She asked her a lot of questions about cyber safety, which made A realize that this was not a safe thing to do. She told her that as a result, she will not have access to her mother's phone for the next 2 months. She took A to the school counselor to understand and work on her issues. Which parenting style do you think it is? And like always, all of you have responded already with authoritative. Yes, this is an authoritative parenting style. Why? Because it's not like the mother was not alarmed. She was alarmed, but at the same time, she asked the child what was going on in her mind. This is her being responsive. She assured the child that she wants to understand and help her out. Right? When she told the child that you will not have access to my phone for next 2 months, this is her being demanding. Demanding in the sense placing boundaries, right? And this is again her being responsive. So I think a lot of us have understood this case and parenting styles. Thank you. Moving on, psychotherapy with children versus adults. How is it different? How is psychotherapy with children different with adults versus adults? Now, there are many aspects, many domains that help us decide the approach for psychotherapy. First of all, the thinking ability. So, like we said, like I was saying in yesterday's workshop, that children are not miniature version of adults because their thinking is not the same as adults. Their thinking is different. So, as a psychologist, we have to be cognizant, or we have to understand the cognitive development of the child. We have to factor in these things. So all our words, sentences, requests, instructions have to be given accordingly. Like I gave you that example, that psychologists जो है वो feelings के doctor होते हैं, or like my 4-year-old says that you are you give solutions. So his understanding of me being a clinical psychologist is that I solve problems or I give solutions, right? So you have to give that kind of basic understanding to the child. Structure your sentences, whatever you are going to say, in a way that the child in front of you would understand. Even though, I mean, if you go into depth of it, you might differ. Like, I don't agree that psychologists actually just provide solutions, but still, it's for the developmental level, that understanding is fine. And as the child's development progresses, we can talk to them more about it. If we don't take these into account, then psychotherapy may be derailed. Then speech development is also important. Now a lot of children who come to us, if they have intellectual disability, if they have autism spectrum disorder, if they have a learning disorder which in uh, poses difficulty with their speech, or if they have, let's say, something like selective mutism or social anxiety, then they may not be able to speak freely. So at that time, again, our approach of psychotherapy may change, and we may need to use expressive arts therapy, or we may need to use play therapy, because they might be able to express better with arts or play or movement. We also need to take their social skills into account. Now children may not understand our gestures in the right context, so we may need to explain everything in detail. We may need to work extra hard on that alliance, like we talked about in the previous section, that an adult may form rapport with us just because they know that they have come here, this is an adult who's treating them respectfully, and snap, rapport form, right? But with a child, we have to earn it. We have to earn that rapport. So we have to judge their social skills and act accordingly. So there are children who will come and who will who open up when you also start disclosing yourself. And then there are children who come, like I told you, I consult at a school. So there are children who would if I'm talking to, let's say, a child in 7th standard, and then a child in 3rd standard is brought to me, and I ask them to wait for a few minutes in the same chamber, and then they say, you're not talking to me. Why are you not talking to me? You're only talking to Didi. So then I know that for them it's really important. So when I bid goodbye to the previous client, a child here, then I would talk to them and tell them, I'm really sorry that I could not get to talk to you, and I really wanted to talk to you. I wanted to see how you're doing, right? So giving them the respect. Children need our respect as much as adults do. So giving them that respect may help us in building a therapeutic alliance with them. Their temperament is also important. Like I said, that there are some children who are inherently shy, who would come and sit. Even if you make them, let's say, wait for half an hour, they will not come and tell you. And there will be children who would say, why did you make me wait? I was sitting there and getting bored. But either way, we have to factor in those things and find a way to show them that we care about them, we value them. So even for a child who does not voice it to us, if we make them wait, or if we speak to their parents first, we tell them that, I'm really sorry that I had to make you wait, I'm sorry that I spoke to your parents first. So this is just one example of how you take into account the temperament of the child, right? And you can also, uh, by incorporating all these elements, what is the level of their social skills? Are they expressive enough of their thoughts? How do they think? How is their temperament? By incorporating all these elements, the therapy can be more holistic, right? So you can form a rapport even more quickly at this point. And then next, a very important thing is their morality development, right? So as you see in this is can anybody tell us in the chat box who gave these stages of moral development? Who gave these stages of moral development? Difference between, so somebody asked, let me see, Abhiha asked, difference between permissive and uninvolved parenting. Permissive parents are very responsive, but they are not demanding. Uninvolved parents are neither responsive nor demanding. So basically, uninvolved parents are indifferent parents. Permissive are who have pamper a lot, but who don't enforce boundaries, right? So anybody, can you tell me who gave this theory? Lawrence Kohlberg. Yes, absolutely right. So Lawrence Kohlberg said that morality develops in stages. So let's say a child of 3 to 7 years comes in front of you and their teacher has brought them for not doing, or their parents have brought them for not doing their homework. Will you be able to tell them that no, it is important, it is a law or a rule in school that you do your homework? Then they will not understand, because they don't have law and order morality yet. If you tell them about the fact that when we do homework we learn more, we are able to get ahead, we are able to do better, right? Then they may learn that. So like I said, like I shared, I have a 4-year-old. So if he has to do his homework, I tell him, if you do homework and you do your homework well, you will get 2 stars. If you don't do your homework well, then you would not get any. So I don't try to scare him into punishment, but tell him that it's in your self interest that you do homework. When you do homework, you will get stars, or you will get, or you will learn better, right? So at this stage children might learn in terms of their own interest. So we have to understand these stages of moral development and talk to the children accordingly, right? With an older child we can talk about principles, we can talk about right or wrong, or the philosophical approach of it all. That's why understanding where the child is in the stage of moral development is important. Now this is also another thing that is very important, and that doesn't get talked about a lot. That's why we included this portion also in today's session, that it's mandatory for therapists to report child, elder, or dependent persons abuse to appropriate authority. If it comes to your knowledge, it is an obligation. It is an obligation under the POXO Act. You can read more about the POXO Act online. And if you fail to do so, then it is punishable by imprisonment up to 6 months. If somebody comes and tell you, if a child discloses in their therapy that they are being abused by an elder person in the family and they are living with the person, so they are prone to get abused further, then you have to report it, right? But you can make that limited to the, you can, the information that you disclose can be limited to that necessary in the context of the situation. Anybody who has clarifying questions at this point, please send it here. Uh, yes, it's possible, Kirthana, that one parent is authoritative and other is other type. It is also possible that one parent is authoritative at times and uninvolved at times, right? We all can fall on the spectrum. Then the child has mixed impact. That's true. Transference can, I don't know if we can call it good, but it can be used to understand things. It can be used to understand, though in kids, in the case of children, it's transference is not a very important concept as such, because they generally relate to adults as caregivers or parents. But if you're talking about an adolescent patient, then yes, you can explore the transference with them, and then you can see if you need to terminate the sessions. Okay, I'll move on next. And after we are done with the session, then we'll take the questions, right? Till then, if you have any clarifying questions, please write in the chat box. Okay, so what are the psychotherapies we use with children? The most popular one and the most effective one, also in my opinion, is behavior modification. So behavior modification talks about, why did those of you who have learned about behaviorism, why did behaviorism as a school of thought come into prominence? Because it talked about the fact that we will work on what is overt, what is right in front of us, right? So what is right in front of us is behavior, and either there are desirable behaviors that we want to increase, like we want the child to brush their teeth themselves, wear their clothes themselves. We want the child to be more social, to smile at strangers. We want them to play independently, right? Or there can be undesirable behaviors that we want to reduce. We want them to stop throwing temper tantrums, or not hit themselves, not run away when we have guests over, not be hyperactive, right? So there can be these two types of behavior. And behavior modification talks about changing destructive habits, right? And increasing uh, skill behaviors. And what does it use? It uses rewards and consequences. Now we'll understand more about that. So we'll understand the techniques along with examples. So that would give us a good idea about what behavior modification is. Everybody has heard about reinforcement. Yes, we all have heard about reinforcement. Simply put, reinforcement means reward, right? Excuse my handwriting here, but reinforcement means reward. So what is reward? Very simple. If a child does good work, then their teacher gives them a star or a smiley, right? Or we give them a pat on the back, right? That is positive reinforcement. Any additional stimulus, any stimulus that is added, that increases the behavior, right? So any stimulus that is added, which means it's a plus, that increases the behavior, right? So example would be that if there is a child with ODD, oppositional defiant disorder, and they don't listen to parents, they do the opposite of what the parents say, and if you give them a token or like a sticker every time that they listen to the parents, and you tell them that once you have 5 of these, then you could exchange it for a toy or for a small gift, then that is positive reinforcement. Can anybody give me the name of the technique that I just described? Can anybody tell me? If a child comes to a therapist after committing a crime, unfortunately even then we are liable to report. Yes, this what I have just talked about, anybody? It is something called token economy. Yes, token economy. Great. So token economy is when you use token as a reinforcement, and later you gives some more reinforcement after the child collects a few tokens also. That is an example of positive reinforcement. So look at the signs here. I think, okay, let me just rub everything to clarify once and for all. I know a lot of us are confused between positive and negative reinforcement and punishment, right? The word positive here means adding something. Okay, think of it as adding something. So what have we added here? We have added a reinforcer here, whether a star or a smiley or a token. And reinforcement means that the aim is to increase a behavior so that the child continues to listen to parents, continues to do good work. Okay. When it comes to positive punishment, again, we have added something here, but the aim is to decrease a behavior, right? Like if there is a child who pulls their hair, who has trichotillomania, and we put a band-aid on their fingers, on their fingertips, then what are we doing? Adding a stimulus to decrease the likelihood of them pulling their hair, and that would be positive punishment, right? Then negative reinforcement. So this is when we are subtracting, taking away something. When we are taking away something that would increase the behavior, we are taking away something that would increase a certain behavior. So if a child is not finishing their homework, right? So sorry, allowing a child to not finish their homework if they have worked on their studies the whole day. So they have they have studied hard whole day, and we want them to do this every day. So we say, okay, for today, because you're tired, let it be, don't do your homework, because we want them to do this again next time. So we are allowing the child to not do their homework because we want them to continue to study every day, right? Or let's say if those parents who say have a late night party, and then you know that the child has been up and the child has been well behaved in the party, and then if you say, okay, you don't need to brush your teeth today before bed because you must be really tired, what are we doing? Negative reinforcement. We are taking away the brushing their teeth routine because we want them to be up and enthusiastic for parties later on also, if we have any. right? Then negative punishment is again removing a stimulus so that the frequency of the behavior reduces. Now this is very common. This is taking away the privileges, and this is also considered the right way of punishing. Withdrawal of privileges. So you're saying, okay, you throw your toys, now you will not get these toys for a week. Okay, you broke your pencil, now you will get a new pencil only next week. So you're removing something, and the aim is to reduce the behavior, right? Then another common technique is extinction, that a behavior can become extinct when a stimulus or reinforcer is removed. So, for example, if a child becomes accustomed to getting a new toy every time they throw a tantrum, right? Or it's very common that children get their mobile phone or screen time every time they throw a tantrum. Like many children we have around us, they don't eat their food and they get their mobile phone, right? They get the screen time so that they continue to eat, right? But what if the parents refrain from buying the child a toy when they throw a tantrum, or giving the screen when they throw a tantrum? If it is done consistently, then the child will learn that this behavior does not produce the desired outcome, and then eventually they will stop. So initially they might increase that behavior, they might throw more tantrums, but when they learn that they are not getting the toy or the screen time, they are not getting any benefit, then the behavior will reduce. And this point is called extinction. Then what is the process of shaping? Now, quite literally, if you, let's say, make a roti, can you take a ball of dough in your hand and straight away produce a roti? No, right? You have to roll it into a ball. You have to flatten it. You have to start rolling it with a rolling pin. Then you have to use a pan to cook it, right? So similarly, if we are trying to bring about a behavioral change, it is not quick. It is not like you started working and the child shows that behavior. There are several stages in a in the child reaching a desired behavior. So if we are teaching social skills to the child, then the several stages would include making eye contact with people, greeting people, social smile, initiating conversation. So parents need to we need to teach them that you appreciate the child at each point. If you don't appreciate the child at each point, then they will not get there, because it's stepwise. So shaping would be reinforcement at each point rather than just the desired behavior, right? Fading is the thought is the process of gradually shifting from one stimulus to another. For example, if a parent encourages their child to get good grades on report cards with a positive stimulus, let's say such as money, then they may eventually want a more sustainable stimulus. So then they can start removing giving money and replace it with something else, like appreciation, hugs, or maybe a time away from home, time with their friends, a party, or anything else. So fading is when you shift something to something else. Now again, how that might be used, let's say with a child, with a toddler who's addicted to screens. Let's say their screen addiction could be first faded into them using a musical toy while they're eating their meals, and then that could be shifted to another game or toy, playing cars. That could be shifted to the parent then narrating a story or listening to a song, and then that could be eventually shifted to just eating alongside, right? So even fading, like we talked about shaping, even fading gradually or tapering can also be helpful. Then we also talk of chaining behavior, which is that there are individual behaviors that form the large behavior. What does that mean? That we break down a task into steps, and one step leads to another, and then that to another, and that to another. So let's say there is a child who is fearful of swimming. Now, if we think that the child will just go and start swimming, it would not be possible. If we break this down and we say, okay, first just sit and then through shaping we appreciate it, right? We reinforce it. Then we ask them to stand, swim in the shallow end with help, then swim in the shallow end without help, then swim in the deep end with help, and ultimately swim in the deep end independently. So through breaking it down, we might be able to get them to do it, right? Even with adults, it's a very helpful technique. If we have a complicated task, we break it down. Okay, so now we have a small quiz for you. We have a few examples, and you have to identify the behavioral technique in the chat box. All right, you all ready? Difference between shaping and chaining is that in shaping, you so even if you haven't broken it down, let's say, because maybe I used a breaking it down similar to breaking it down example, there may be some confusion, Abhiha. That's a relevant question. Shaping would be, let's say we want the child to be socially confident. Even if they start with talking to a stranger but not making eye contact, we still appreciate them. The next time they go, they make eye contact and talk to the stranger, but they're still not smiling. We still appreciate them, because we are looking at the bigger picture. We are looking that we need to shape their behavior, right? So if a child is fearful of coloring because they think that I will not be able to do it well, when they do it, no matter how they do it, you appreciate them. That would make them do better, and then you again appreciate them till the time they reach the desired response. And chaining would be breaking it down. So several stages, I mean that a person, maybe like the beginner stage of being a socially confident child, and the end stage, right? And when we talk about breaking down the behaviors, then that is just breaking it down into several parts, right? I hope that's clear. So Nazia says that, is this systematic desensitization? Yes, this is graded exposure. Systematic desensitization would be if we also gave the child relaxation while they're sitting with their feet dipped in water. But because we are not, then it could be in the category of graded exposure. Okay, so now everybody on the chat box, let's see. Putting lemon juice on fingernails to avoid nail biting. What is that behavior? I'll give you a hint right here. Positive punishment. So we are putting lemon juice, so a stimulus is added. Remember, stimulus is added, and we are reducing a behavior, nail biting. So that is positive punishment. Think of these two signs. Next time you want to work on this, then you'll understand. Okay, allowing the child to cut down tuition timings if they did a lot of self-studying. What behavioral technique is this? We are allowing the child to cut down tuition timings, right, if they did a lot of self-studying. So negative reinforcement. We are removing a stimulus, which is tuition, because we want to increase the self-studying behavior. All right, negative reinforcement. Buying the child their favorite toy if they did not engage in undesired behavior for a month. What would this be? This is very simple. We have bought the child their favorite toy. If they did not engage in undesired behavior, we want to reduce the undesired behavior. So what is this? Positive punishment. Sorry, positive reinforcement. We want them to engage in desired behavior, right? We want them to engage in desired behavior. Okay, next one. Not paying attention to harmless behaviors like loud singing. So like a lot of time, we tell children, parents, to not pay attention to harmless behaviors. They would come to us. honestly, like the school that I visit sometimes, a mother called me and said, my child bought fountain pen yesterday. I didn't. I was like, no, his handwriting would suffer if he does that. So parents a lot of times unintentionally fixate on harmless, behaviors. So if you tell them to not pay attention, when they don't pay attention to harmless behaviors, then what would that be? Yes, extinction. Yes, planned ignoring also, it would lead to extinction. Planned, the technique is called planned ignoring, you're right, Sumitra, and it would lead to extinction. Appreciating the child to use the right colors, stay within the lines, then to not leave white spaces. So when the child starts coloring to say, that's so nice, you colored the grass green and not red. That's so nice, you stayed within the lines, even if they did not. It's so nice that you did not leave any white spaces, even when they did. What is that technique? That's shaping. Yes. Not buying the child another notebook for a week after their tier one. Not buying the child. So yes, it could be, Abhiha, you're right. This could be negative punishment as well. This could be explained like that. Right? Now, coming to this, not buying the child another notebook for a week after their tier one. What would you call this? We have not bought the child another notebook. We want to reduce their behavior of tearing notebooks. Negative punishment. Making a child stand while wearing skates. So if you want to teach your child skating, first stand while wearing skates, then walk with skates, then skate while holding a rail, then skate without holding a railing. What would this be? Chaining, right, absolutely. Replacing screen time with outdoor activities or dancing. What would this be? Fading, yes. Right. So we now come to applied behavior analysis. Applied behavior analysis, or ABA, is often used, the most prominent disorder for which it is used. Thank you all for your appreciation and encouragement. It's used most often for autism, right? And it talks about the ABCs of behavior, which is antecedent, behavior, and consequence. What is the antecedent? The behavior that happens. What is the behavior? The situation that happens before. The behavior is the actual, sequence of events, whatever the person does or says, and the consequence is the result. So let's say the antecedent is food is presented in front of the child. The behavior is the child starts throwing temper tantrums, and the consequence is the child gets the screen. So this is the antecedent behavior or consequence. Or let's say the antecedent is the child visiting a mall or a shopping complex with their parents, and them demanding a toy, throwing temper tantrums for the toy, and consequences them getting the toy, right? Get that reward of getting the toy. That would be the consequence. So this approach says that first we have to understand the ABCs of behavior. We have to literally analyze what is causing a behavior, and then we can work on it, right? So you have to be like a spy, if you want to really understand what is going on in this kind of behavior. So when we learn that, then we are able to teach the kids how to respond in real life situations, or their parents in how to help. There will be strategies for communication, self-management, cognition, for self-care, play, leisure, all the areas basically. And how do we do that? We have an example. example also. So let's say that there is a child with autism, let's say, who walks into a loud room and starts yelling and screaming because they are bored, or children with autism, when they might go in a classroom, because of their hypersensitivity, they may start screaming, or they may start acting out. And then through the ABC chart, through using of ABA, the analysis, or what we call as the functional assessment, understand why is this behavior happening, what is the antecedent. Antecedent is the child getting in the class where there is a lot of noise. What is the behavior? Child is screaming. What is the consequence? The child is taken outside the class and he gets some relief from that noisy classroom. So once we understand that this is the antecedent, then we might be able to help the child. Let's say we help them by using noise cancelling headphones. We also tell them, we also teach them ways to request a break. So let's say this is a child with ASD who can we put which is called PECS, PECS. If you can, you can also search online and see the PECS cards, right? So PECS cards are picture exchange communication system, they are called. And we put them excuse me, we put them in the classroom and we teach the child to ask for a break. Let's say the child wants to go out for some time, the child wants some water, the child wants to get his diaper changed if he's not toilet trained yet. So whatever the things the child might need or to communicate are on the picture exchange communication system and the picture exchange cards, and then the child can point to that thing, or they have the pictures and they can give the relevant picture to the teacher. So then the teacher might know, okay, child is getting overwhelmed, I need to get the class quiet, till then the child needs a break. Or I can give noise cancelling headphones to the child and they would feel better soon, right? So through this analysis of what a child, we might be able to help them better in these situations. But I had one or two hand raises. We can take one question at this point and then we'll move forward. So please make it about the thing that we are discussing. Yes, just one question. Yes. Or you can also write in the chat box. No, antecedent is immediate situation only, the situation the child is in. Okay, so let me continue. I don't know, some issue maybe. I will answer your questions at the end for sure. Please note them down. Please note them down. We will take a few questions at the end. If there are simple clarifying questions, like I say, please write them. Uh, so Abhiha is asking that behavior modification isn't it really simple and intuitive? It is simple in some ways, Abhiha, but I wouldn't say that a lot of parents are able to do it. Let me give you a quick example. First, let me go back. So let's say that a lot of parents give in to the child's demands when they make demands, right? They don't understand that they are reinforcing the child. That happens all the time, right? That's why we have permissive parenting style that we are talking about, because parents may give in to their kids' demands, hoping that the next time that they don't behave in this way, right? Or they may end up making the child feel bad and expect them to behave better. They may end up not. So let's say the child is trying really hard to do well in exams, but they are saying that you could do better. They did not reinforce the child, they did not shape the child's behavior, that if they scored 70 and you say really good job, I'm so proud of you, then they'll score 80, right? So I wish it was very intuitive, but unfortunately it's not, and that's where the role of parents, of clinical psychologists and child psychologists come in. Okay, so we will take the questions at the end now. We will keep moving now, and if there are any questions, you can write down in the chat box. So with art therapy, the goal is, like I said, that to use creative expression to work through issues or challenges, because in a lot of times kids may not be able to express themselves. One, they might not have the resources like this language skills to express. They might not have the cognitive skills also to understand what they're going through. So when we give them an avenue of art therapy to express themselves, then we might gain a lot of understanding. Like I gave you that example of using an art therapy technique where I told the child that you color red if you're for anger, and green for happiness, etc. The child ended up expressing so much about the things that scared him or made him angry, and out of the gingerbread man shape that I made for this feelings technique, he colored only this much portion green. And I had to tell him that, see, you don't feel happy, but he went back home and he did express it to his parents, because when his father came to meet me, he said that he was telling me that I feel so angry and hurt. So he was able to, through that technique, a child who was so shy, he wasn't even willing to move his crayon, was able to express, not only express, and gain some insight into how he was feeling. This is what art therapy can do. It can help children verbalize what they're thinking or feeling. It can also help them visualize something in their life. So visualizing meaning, let's say they don't have a friend, we can make them visualize them through art. We can make them visualize having friends and how they would behave with a friend, and that could lead them to develop certain social skills or be more friendly with their classmates, and eventually help them find friends. How is art therapy beneficial for understanding children? One, it offers a non-verbal way for children, which may be very important for a lot of children. It is a safe space also for complex emotional expression, because whereas you might not be able to say, like as a child, as a 8-year 10-year-old child also, they might not be able to say that I'm very unhappy in life, and I'm troubled, I'm sad and upset because my parents hit me and I feel they don't love me. But that all of that can be communicated through art so simply. Like the complex emotional expression can be communicated through art. It can also lead to self awareness, like it happened with the child, and it can have benefits of emotional processing, just like how catharsis helps when we talk about our problems to someone and we feel lighter. Similarly, someone can engage in art therapy exercises and can feel lighter because of that emotional expression. And it also aids in visual representation of abstract emotions, right? So representation of how, when when you, what are you feeling inside your body, you can see it right on that paper. So it's like a psychological scan, a psychological of sorts, that you can see on the paper when you've colored that. You can all Google and see this gingerbread man feelings technique in arts therapy, to make more sense of what I'm saying. So when they see this picture of them, it can be like a scan or visual representation of how they are feeling, and they understand it so quickly. And by doing those things, they also learn to talk more about their feelings. They learn to identify those feelings and also talk about them. They can use many symbols and metaphors in their artwork, which trained clinicians and art therapists may be able to unravel and talk about it. Like a case that I discussed in my trauma informed care workshop earlier that I did, was of a child who was going through body image issues, and he made a drawing of himself with huge hair, because he used to get teased for his big hair. So he made a drawing of him with a very big upper body and big hair. So these little, this was very straightforward though, but a metaphor could be that all his earlier drawings when he started therapy, all his earlier drawings were so chaotic, so much happening in the picture, something here and something there, and one had trouble making sense of them, or random words and numbers written on it, right? So these kind of metaphors can be used, that can be uncovered to understand what the child might be going through, and then similar help can be provided. So a bullied child may draw himself as a superhero. You can encourage a bullied child to draw himself as a superhero, and then they can rehearse that in their mind and then act out in real life by standing up to a bully. You must be wondering if this actually happens. It does, if it is also complemented with you're also teaching social skills to the child, you're also working with the parents. So of course it's not just this technique, there are a lot of other things that we do. With kids we have to do what we call systemic change. The system is their schools, their peer groups, their parents, and then it surely works. Then in play therapy, uh, we we let the child play freely. So there is directed play therapy and non-directive play therapy. In non-directive play therapy, we just let the child have access to some play material and we let them play. And when they are playing, if you remember from yesterday's workshop, we talked about the fact that if a child is going through PTSD, then they can also explore all of their unresolved issues. So children explore all of their unresolved issues in their play. So this form of therapy is used also because children may not be able to process their emotions, articulate their emotions, for same reasons that we use art therapy basically. And for because play is anyway the language of children. Some children may be inclined towards art, some children might not, but every child plays, nearly every child plays. So play is one very good technique to get children to open up and to understand the issues that they are facing. And they we can it can also help us when we observe, it can help us decode and interpret what they're going through. Through this type of therapy, kids can learn new coping mechanisms also. So let's say I'll give you an example, that I was doing play therapy with a child who was going through anger issues. And it was really simple. I just had some tissue paper roll, toilet paper roll tubes, and I had made happy and sad faces on them. And I was telling him how this was an 8 9 year old child, and I was telling him how this angry person gets angry on with everybody, and then people just go and leave him and don't be his friends. But once he felt angry and he just went aside and he sat with his anger for some time, he did some deep breathing, he did some jumping jacks, and then he came back again and told them what he felt bad about, and then they continued to be his friends, right? So when you do that, for example, you are teaching the child coping mechanism, that you sit with your anger and you think about what you really want to communicate. So you're teaching assertiveness skills through this way, right? And that can help children make sense of what you're trying to tell them. For example, if the child is recreating the scene of parents fighting with dolls, that this is mama doll, papa doll, and they are fighting, then the therapist can guide the child to take the baby doll to another room, so that they can do things like, you can tell them, okay, let's take the baby doll to another room. The baby doll can draw or play or dance till the time the parents are fighting. The baby doll should protect itself, right? So when you teach the child to do that, then they might be able to, they don't learn it, like they don't keep it in their mind, okay, next time I'm going to do that. But there is a change in their behavior that you see over time, that they are able to do this, utilize this technique the next time something like that happens. Then CBT is also very important with kids and with adults. And the basic model of CBT is this triad of thoughts, behaviors, and feelings. That how we think is important. So if a child thinks, let's say this child who has anger management issues thinks that whoever says no, I don't want to play with me, is being mean to me, then how will they feel? They will feel angry. right? And how will they behave? They will behave by, let's say, pushing the other child or hitting the other child. So what do we need to work on? We need to work on on changing their thought or interpretation, that no, not every child who refuses to play with you is trying to be mean to you, right? So we make the child understand their thought patterns. Of course, we keep their cognitive development, moral development, language development into account, and then we help them change those patterns in order to create healthier or more adaptive thinking that will lead to more adaptive behavior. So the example that I've shared here is that social anxiety. If a child has social anxiety, he may be guided to challenge his negative automatic thoughts. That, let's say, his teacher asked him to speak in front of the class, and he has this thought, no one will like me, or everyone will laugh at me, I will look like a fool. So then you train them, then you teach them that you have to challenge this kind of thinking, and you have to say that no, some people will like me, some people might not, or I will be okay, I will not look like a fool, I'm going to do an okay job. So not, you're not even going to tell them that no, I will be perfect, because you don't want to set unrealistic expectations, but you tell them to dilute their negative thinking with a realistic thought. I'm going to be okay, I'm going to be fine. Some people might laugh at me, but my friends will enjoy it, or I'm going to say, focus on what I have to say. Then dialectical behavior therapy, although you might have heard about its use in individuals with borderline personality disorder or self-injurious behavior, that's also true. But it can also be used with children or teens, especially because it talks about things like distress tolerance, which many of us lack. It talks about emotion regulation, also something that we hardly ever teach our children. So to accomplish this, we use these characteristics. So what might be mindfulness? Improving the ability to accept and be present in the current moment. Okay, let's say your friends don't want to play with you, right? Let's say you accept it. It's okay if they don't want to play with me. What else can you do? Look around yourself. What else do you have around you? Oh, do you have that ball with you? What if you play with that ball? You have a book, what if you pick that up and read? What if you take those crayons and color, right? So that's also talking about emotional regulation. That how do you, like, I was having coincidentally, I was having a therapy session with a 7-year-old today in the morning, and I was telling her that what do you do when you feel sad? And she said, my friends try to cheer me up. They try to sing songs of BTS and Blackpink because that's what I like. So I was telling her that, okay, what if you do the same for yourself? What if you try to be your best friend? And I mean, again, you have to word it in a way that is developmentally appropriate for the child, right? So I asked her, what if you try to help yourself in the same way? Then if you do that, then what would you do when you feel sad? Then she said, then I would start singing those songs. Then I would go and talk to my mom and tell her what is bothering me. Then I would write it down on a piece of paper and draw it and make a ball and throw it away. She came up with those techniques herself. She's a fairly smart 7-year-old. But anyway, we can help the children with those techniques also. So we help them, think of self-soothing techniques that they can use to feel better, right? And then similarly, we teach them social skills as well that might be necessary in situations. How to be assertive, how to say no to someone, how to stand up to a bully. So we talk about self advocacy also, that you can say, no, I would not let you trouble me. I would not let you bother me. And it's okay to say that. So like I was sharing with this 7-year-old girl, that as your best friend, you also have the duty to protect yourself as well as make you happy. Right? So we can talk about those things too. For example, a child with anger management issues, it may be made to understand that they may get angry when someone refuses to play with them because they misinterpret the refusal as offensive, and they can control their anger by reminding them that people are not always trying to snub them. They are just stating their opinion. We can also ask them, what about the times when you refuse to play with others? What are you trying to do? Right? And then we can teach them alternate ways of coping, even make coping cards for them. that you can, when you feel upset, you can take a walk, deep breathe, do jumping jacks, take a smiley ball and squeeze it, or color, or do whatever it is that you like, and then come back and talk to that person. Then we also use ERP with kids, especially because OCD is very common in children. Anxiety disorders are also common in children. So with ERP, we make the kids tolerate the fear or the worry. They learn that they need to face the worry but not react to it. It can be used for social anxiety and phobias as well. So for example, a child with contamination obsessions, that everything is dirty, I will fall sick, we can gradually make them touch doorknobs, handles. So first in ERP, first we make a list of all the things that the child is anxious about. Then we ask them to rank it in order from least anxiety provoking to most, and then we ask them to touch that particular thing or expose themselves to that particular thing one by one, starting from the least to the most. So here is a case discussion, which in which we want to know what you all think of it. So this is Nikhil's case. This is a name has been changed, so don't worry about that. Gingerbread man, Seema, it's gingerbread man. CBT is hard to do with autistic children, but yes, it can be modified and some bit of it can be used. Dr. Prerna has said children get addicted to rewards. Yes, they do. That is why we fade them out after a point. Okay. Okay. Now on to the case. Nikhil is 14 years old. He is in the 9th standard and he has a lot of talents, but doesn't take part in extracurricular activities. His teachers feel that he's lazy and not interested in doing all of this. All this meaning studies, extracurricular activities. But Nikhil feels that he's worthless and hopeless. By taking part in these activities, he will insult himself more because people will laugh at him. He feels he will not live up to his parents' expectations. Although he has friends, but he doesn't know how to keep the conversation going. He feels nervous about that. He feels that his grades are low, and this has caused more shame to his parents. At home, he's very scared of his parents and does everything that his parents tell him without questioning him. But the teachers have noticed that there is something wrong, as the parents keep on demotivating him for different school events, and the student has started making friends with big boys outside school who are mostly alcoholics or into other inappropriate behaviors for the age. So the teacher has come to you for help. What will you suggest? What do you think is wrong with Nikhil? What are the issues that he might have? Yes.
Ma'am, according to me, the best thing would be development of self-esteem.
Yes, you're right. One is that we have to
Uh,
work on self-esteem.
ma'am,
Yes.
ma'am, I think that the most important part is that they have to consider the parents, because the parents are keeping on demotivating the child. So I think the teacher has to call the parents and ask them, what do you find the issue in your child, and they should tell what they have to do from their side rather than demotivating, give token economy, and motivate the child. And then they can actually go and talk to the child about why do you feel so bad when talking to in a stage or taking part in activities. So that's what I be.
Yes, yes, you're right, Abhirami. Abhiha has also said social anxiety. So it's true that we have to work on social anxiety. He doesn't know how to keep the conversation going. Right. So we have these three things right now. We have to work on the self-esteem. We have to work on social anxiety. We have to work on teaching the parents parenting skills. Right. Self esteem. Yes, we can use CBT. What else? Anything else? Any other addition that anybody would like to make? What else do we need to work on?
Is it possible that there is not much conversation happening at home at all, which is why he doesn't know how to converse, or um, something to do with the interaction with the parents at home, the way the interaction happens?
Correct. So we also have to observe the parent-child interaction. So we can use the parent-child interaction therapy model to observe their interaction in real time and give the parents advice. Yes.
We can
Ma'am,
talk to the
assessments for any learning disabilities. The child is very passive in the class.
Mhm. Possible that he is so I think you say so because he is talented, so we know his IQ must be good. But you're saying this because despite being having high IQ, he's struggling in extracurricular activities, so we may think of LD assessment. Okay, that's also good input. Anybody else?
we can talk to the student and give a good care so that he can be open and understand himself.
Yes.
Ma'am, there's a sentence which says that his teachers feel that he's lazy and not interested. So we can look into that. Like, why is it that he's not interested in it?
Yeah, I agree with you too, Sonal. I think that's an important point. And like I said, that any work with children is systemic. We look at all the systems. I would also talk to the teachers. You know, a lot of times as adults, we are quick to say a child is lazy or manipulative or attention seeking, but it's never just that. There is something at the root of it, right? So we also need to, so what we need to do is we need to talk to the teachers to understand what he is not able to do, why they're terming him lazy or disinterested. We need to if possible talk to Nikhil's friends also and get an understanding of, because he's 14 years old, right? So what is how do they perceive him or what difficulties he's going through. We need to talk to the parents about why he's scared of them and why they're demotivating him. We also, and of course we need to talk to Nikhil and help him with by using CBT and improving his self esteem, by also using parent child interaction therapy, right? We also need to maybe do some graded exposure of things that he is uh, he's scared about, like conversations with people or initiating conversations perhaps. So we need to use that model also. And we also need to use DBT, where we teach him distress tolerance skills, etc. Right? Anybody else who would like to add anything, please do so in the chat box as we move forward. So family therapy, like I said, that the family therapy or talking to the parents is very important in when it comes to dealing with children, because you can do everything right and the problems can still persist because there are some issues at the family level. So here we have to teach the parents so that they can learn ways of how to support their child's recovery. If especially if the family is not getting along, they disagree or argue a lot, then this might definitely be needed. If the child tells us things like Lovely told me today, right, that my parents don't let me play, they tear my drawings, they are strict with me, then definitely we know that we need to talk to parents. And so of course we talk to them in all cases, but I'm just saying that that makes it all the more urgent. And we need to teach the family how to communicate with each other and how to solve problems. We even teach them parenting skills. We counsel them with parenting skills so that they can better treat their child. So one example would be that the therapist may make all family members express their feelings assertively using I statements without assigning blame to each other. Now, what is an I statement? When mama gets angry, then I feel bad. I feel bad when mama gets angry. I feel angry when she does not do her homework. I feel like I will do my homework at my own time, and mama should not get upset about it. I feel like I have given her a chance to do that, but she never does it. I promise that I'm going to do it. What happens when we say I, we don't say you? You never listen to me. You never do your homework. You never, you are never a good mom. So it takes away the blame and we start talking about things assertively. Or you can ask family members in family therapy to paraphrase what they just said. Okay, can you tell me what your child just said? Can you try to explain their point of view from whatever you have understood? Or you can ask the child, okay, what was your dad saying right now? What do you think he was saying? Can you summarize that for me? Right? So that is a good way of making sure that they understanding each other's communication and communicating their own side of the story as well. So now the therapy that we have already talked about, the parent-child interaction therapy, and what happens is that this happens in real time. So whenever a parent and child come to us, a lot of times they're sitting in the session together. We have individual sessions also, and sometimes we have conjoined sessions also. We might notice how the parents are interacting with children, and we may guide them towards positive interactions. Let's say, like for example, I was once taking a workshop in a school, and there was a child with ADHD whose mother was speaking to me, and it was a huge place, but the mother was saying to the child, "Stop running, and you're distracting me with all your running. I'm forgetting all the questions." And I was telling her that, see, your child has been diagnosed with ADHD for a while. Of course, I knew the mother and the child for a long time. So I told them, that she's been diagnosed with ADHD for a long time. You need to accept that the child will run. No, and right now it's not required to be seated. The event is over. She was seated throughout the event. Now, if she's running about, maybe let her do that. And if she does anything harmful or inappropriate, then correct her. Right? So in real time, you notice those issues, and you correct the parents whenever the child has experienced any extreme behavioral aggression or attachment disruption also. Then also this can be very helpful. Let's say there is a child who's not feeling attuned to their parent. You can tell and the adult. And this is so important. You can read studies on if securely attached to their parent, they become emotionally secure adults. They are able to handle so much more as a grown up. Even trauma, they are able to handle in a much better way. So, for example, the therapist may observe that the parent is refusing the child to do things like exploring around, putting a toy in their mouth, and picking food off the floor. And they may be taught to use no sparingly and only focus on harmful behaviors. That I just, you can, of course, you need to communicate respectfully that you're scolding the child so much, you're saying no for everything. How about you use your no only for the things that we have decided to work on, and not for everything, because then they don't know what to do and what not to do. Then psychodynamic therapy is also something that we can use with children. How, when we ask them to, let's say, draw or color, or when they're talking freely to us, then we might be able to understand their behavior patterns and defenses. We might be able to understand what is motivating their behavior. If they are not listening to the parent, why do we think they're doing that? Is it a parent who likes to be immersed in their own world, and they only notice the child when the child misbehaves? So then the child has this unconscious need to for their parents love and attention, and that is why they may be behaving this way. So what are the inner conflicts and struggles that are happening within a child? That is what psychodynamic therapy helps us understand. For example, a child may be engaging in sibling rivalry because, and this is a true story of a case, that the mother stopped breastfeeding the younger one stay with their grandparents for a week. Now, this is the starting of the rivalry, because you have communicated to the child unintentionally that the younger baby is more important. There is a theory in psychology, for those of you who are aware, about older siblings, and that's called, that they are dethroned monarchs. They are like dethroned monarchs. Suddenly, you're not important anymore, and the younger one is. So, if that is identified, then parents can be encouraged to spend more time with them, engage in lot of play activities, bonding activities, use lot of encouragement, so that the child can feel important again and get their inner suppressed need of attention fulfilled, failing which they will continue to act out on that need. Then a lot of times supportive therapy will also be needed with the children, especially children with ID, intellectual disability, with whom we cannot do much, or even children with autism. After we have taken care, we might need also, and what would that be? We identify helpful, unhelpful behaviors. We teach them to cope with stress, to improve their self-esteem. What are the things you're good at? What are the compliments you have received? Tell me 10 good things about you, etc. We reinforce all the good things, their well-being, their self-esteem, their self-reliance, their strengths, and we try to encourage them and reassure them when it comes to their problems. We most of the focus is on just being attentive, sympathetic, and providing support, right? So in supportive therapy, we don't actively use a CBT model, or we don't actively work on many problematic behaviors. We just try to reinforce whatever good is already happening, or shape up those for the better. For example, if a child is low on self-esteem, they may be encouraged to acknowledge their strengths, count on their blessings, think about the compliments they have received and the skills they have learned. So we may give them worksheets for the same. We may ask them to make use art to express that okay, you make your drawing, and then you make a halo on yourself and write one good quality in this halo, and then we'll make another halo, write your next good quality in this halo, right? Or let's say you make a cape of this drawing, right? You make a cape, and then write all the compliments that you have received in this cape, right? So you can use different art therapy and CBT techniques techniques, not CBT the entire model, but techniques to support their improve their self-esteem. And then finally, we can teach them relaxation techniques. Now, one very basic relaxation technique with kids is smell the flower, blow out the candle, right? And it can even be used with fingers, that okay, see, this is your finger, smell the flower, take a slow deep breath in through your nose and blow out the candle. Slowly exhale, blowing out from your mouth. Do this for 1, 2, 3 seconds, and for another 3 seconds. Now do this 5 times or 10 times, right? We can even use some bit of PMR. Okay, tightly clench your fist. Think about something that makes you really angry, and now release and relax. Now once again, tighten your shoulder muscles. Try to bend your hands from the elbows to touch your shoulders, and now relax. You can read about PMR. Then we can also teach them guided imagery. Think about one nice place that you went to. What all did you see there? What all did you smell there? What all did you taste there? Using all 5 senses, right? So these are some of the techniques that can be used with the children. And now to end, we would like to again reintroduce the course that we are bringing for you. It's a course in child psychology and psychotherapy, and it's luckily and thankfully to all of you, we got a really good response from just one workshop or yesterday only, and a lot of our seats are already full. But for those of you who are interested, do hurry and register. It's a 30 hours advanced training program. If you thought that there were some important things that were shared in this workshop, it is just the tip of the iceberg, and a lot more cases, a lot more in-depth session by session accounts of different kind of therapies will be used. And this would be started from the next week, Saturday, 21st October. Right? Would be covering the basic developmental milestones, theories, history taking, MSc, rapport formation in detail, and how to assess the child. What are the guidelines for going with assessment? What are the psychotherapies used with children? All these different kinds, along with studies and treatment plans. The clinical picture and the management of all these psychiatric disorders. We talked about the clinical picture yesterday, but in this module, we'll talk about it in greater depth, and we'll also talk about the management, which is usually the more complicated part. And in the end, we will talk about all these aspects that are often seen in young children, school going children, and even adolescents: exam anxiety, concentration issues, bullying, peer pressure, breakups, addictions, gender, sexuality, all of those. Right, so do go through this, and I would be taking questions now. So any questions that you have about the workshop, if you have any questions about this course, please ask on the WhatsApp group that you have, because then the organizer will be better able to tell you about all of that. And let me tell you that this course covers counseling psychologists and clinical psychologists, counseling practitioners. If you're a person who is interested in child psychology, or dealing with children, or hope to deal with children, then I'm hoping that you could benefit from this. Apart from that, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask us later. And right now, if you have any question about or reduce a particular behavior, right? And token economy is just one technique within contingency management, which is when we give a person tokens as reinforcement for a desired behavior.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, you're welcome.
Amongst all these therapies that you have spoken today, which one of these therapies would be perfect to give to to a child who is having learning disability?
To a child with learning disability, one is they definitely need special education, right? If they have any other issues, like if they have behavioral issues, then we might need behavior modification. We might need, so mostly the case is that if a child has any of these disorders, this child clinical disorders, then we need a combination of all the therapies. So with them, the
So I'm
primary
talking,
approach is special education. Yeah.
I'm talking more of children having dyslexia, dyscalculia, dysgraphia, like that.
Yes, I'm also telling you about that only. That the primary thing that they need is special education. But mostly children with dyslexia, dyscalculia, or any other learning disability also have behavioral issues, also have attention or hyperactivity issues. Their parents might have trouble understanding how to deal with them. So we also need to give them behavior modification, or we need to help their children with parenting skills to deal with their issues. So all of that is also needed. Supportive therapy is also needed to encourage them when they start showing some improvement with special education. But yes, primarily we need to refer them to a special educator. That
Can
before
I
all
ask
else,
my question?
and then all of these adjunctive therapies also. Yes.
Ma'am, how are
Ma'am,
older teens treated? I mean, is it the same? Will it be any different? And will the course that's coming
Sorry,
up
can you
cover?
repeat your question, Sumitra? Can you repeat your question? I wasn't able to hear it.
How about older teens, like 14 to 19? Do they also come under the same category as children? And are will we be looking at some of these also in the next advanced course?
So mostly, in the category of childhood, we have it till 12-year-old, right? But here in this course, we would also be talking about adolescence, because as you saw the last module, that is for sure. I mean, we are talking about all the adolescent issues, and even otherwise, when we are talking about let's say trauma disorders or anxiety disorders, the treatment module would be the same for and there would be some case examples from older children, there would be some case examples from younger children. So even though child psychology is usually, it's the developmental level is considered same, till 12 years of age, but we would be taking adolescent issues also. We would be including adolescent issues and cases as well.
Okay, my question actually was, I understand. Thank you, ma'am. My question was, see, I've noticed that there are a lot of child psychologists, and there are people who say we deal with adults. They don't deal with children. So, is there something special for teens as such? It just this question just came up for me.
Yeah. Yeah, no, there isn't. There are no specific practitioners just for teens. I guess adults, psychologists who work with adults handle them. But yes, there is a different skill set that is needed for dealing with teens. So you have a valuable question there. That there could be that could be a specialty.
Thank you.
Hello, madam.
I have
Hello.
a question if everyone else
Yes,
is
sir.
done. So my first question is that I've noticed in some cases that parents have already taken the teenager to a therapist and they've done everything that they could do themselves. They've done all the, for example, there's a teenager who has issues with studies, is not studying properly. So the parents have done everything they could to counsel the child or explain the importance of time management, everything. So how does a therapist deal with such a teenager who's already aggressive and who already sort of is intelligent and knows everything that the therapist is going to talk about? So that's my first question. And my second question is, as a psychologist, can we, for example, do our thesis or create a new intervention on some kind of new therapy for children? Is that still needed in today's day and age? And number three, I wanted to connect with you on Instagram or
Yeah.
how much of my question did you hear? I got disabled.
Yeah, no, I heard that last thing you said was that you want to connect with me on Instagram. So I was just writing
I
my
yeah.
yeah. Did you say anything else as well after that?
Or just the two main questions and the third request.
Yeah, all right. So first of all, Abiha, I don't think that any parents can do everything that there is to do. And the reason is that if you are becoming a clinical psychologist, then you are spending, I mean, earlier you were spending 3 + 2 + 2 years. Now you would be in another few years spending 4 + 2 years. Anyway, you're spending 6 to 7 years to become a clinical psychologist. It is not possible that, and I'm not saying out of some immodesty that we know better, but how is it possible that what you and I had to study for 6 or 7 years, a lay person might know without studying? So I don't think there would be any parents who would be able to do everything. And if the teenager or person sitting in front of us, if they're intelligent, then that's good for us, because then they would be able to understand our logic. And a lot of CBT is just logic. Like, let's say, because we're talking about like an intelligent teenager here, so CBT or DBT would be a good choice to use with them. So they would, I think, respond to that better, right? There is always scope. There is always scope when, if even if parents are well intentioned and doing their best, there is always scope for us to do more, because we are clinicians and we have studied this field, and we are professionals. Answering the second question, there is always scope for more therapies also, for more, there is always a need for something more, something better. And that's why all of these different kind of, even though we have like hundreds of psychotherapies, but we still have more coming up ever so often, because that need is always there. And why not? If there is something else that helps us understand the human mind better, then it's always welcome. So that need would always be there. And for you to connect with me on Instagram, I have dropped my username here. You can go through that, or you can simply go to All About Psychology, their page, and they would have me tagged in some places, right? Thank you for your question. Dr. Sai Charan, please. Yes.
Hello. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Ma'am, how to, as a postgraduate psychologist, other than child psychology, what will be the other topics, core topics we have to have grip within us to practice?
Sorry, sir, I didn't understand that. As a postgraduate psychologist, other than which topics? And
Other than this child psychology, what are the other topics we should have within fingertips to practice to counsel the clients?
To counsel all the clients, I would say, one, the need of the hour, that is trauma informed care, because it has been found, and that's relevant to both child psychology and this, and your need for the art to have something on fingertips, because a study done in 2011 called the Adverse Childhood Experiences Study, or the ACE study, found that nearly two-thirds of the people have undergone some adverse childhood experiences, and it has resulted in a lot of psychological and physical problems. So not just that study, of course, I would suggest to be for you to be well acquainted with, but understanding principles of trauma informed care would also be relevant. I believe that one should have on our fingertips in today's day and age.
Okay, medical background persons should concentrate, MBBS background persons,
Yeah.
how to correlate with the usually with the PG subject.
Yeah, I mean, that is one is that, as a if you're a psychologist, then of course you still need to know, have some understanding of how medications work, some understanding of what are the common myths and how to dispel those myths. Similarly, as a doctor, you need to be, which I am assuming with your post graduation in psychology you are already well versed with, about how psychotherapy works, so you can direct the patients who might need it to psychotherapy as well. And also, I think one very important skill that we all should have is also referral, to refer to another professional when needed, to recognize our own limitations.
Okay. Okay. What about differential diagnosis? When you were keeping some criteria, and we are diagnosing based on your lesson. If you diagnose one patient, means 2-3 diagnoses will be there. How to differential diagnosis that patient? Is our diagnosis correct or not? To proceed further.
Yeah. I think, yeah, that question is very valid, because it happens a lot in psychiatry, that diagnoses are hard, because a lot of disorders are comorbid and a lot of disorders mimic each other. So one important thing is that we don't diagnose right away. We have 2-3 differential diagnosis in mind, and then we ask clarifying questions, probing questions to patient and caregivers in each of those domains. We also pay particular attention to two things: what started first. So let's say if the child has attention issues also, and the child has anxiety also, what started first, what was there first. And second, we also see what causes the most distress, uh, or which of these is more intense. So in that case, that might also clarify that, okay, this is the particular disorder that was there, that is primary, and let's say anxiety may have been secondary to this particular disorder, right? So that would give us understanding about comorbidity also, and help us with our differential diagnosis also, that we can focus on this particular disorder because we got more symptoms from this cluster rather than the others. Probing, lot of probing, observation. Yeah.
Up to how many sessions we can take the patient such that he doesn't need any medicine, madam? Up to how many extent we have to counsel the patient, and if it not treated, means we have to refer to psychiatry for medicines. How we have to prognosis of the patient?
Yeah. No, I think you can refer to psychiatrists if the problem is, the intensity of the issues is moderate to severe, then you can refer right away. Otherwise, and of course, even then, going or not going is up to them. And otherwise, you can wait for a while and start to work with psychotherapy and see if there are any changes or not.
Okay. Be- Okay.
Yes.
Prognosis and follow up also we have to do like this only, ma'am. How he is
Yes. Yes.
responding, how
Yes, and ideally, I mean, don't say that, okay, now only go to the psychiatrist, because the psychotherapy, psychotherapist's work can continue either way. Even if they need medicines, you can work alongside with the psychiatrist. So that way you can follow up also how medicine is benefiting them or not.
okay. Okay. I have concentrated more on child psychology and adult psychology also parallelly to
Yes,
counsel the patients, ma'am.
yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
Okay.
Yes,
Ma'am, will you be explaining in your coming session the therapies?
in the course that we are doing, the 30-hour course.
Yes, yes.
Yes, definitely. That would be explained along with case examples.
In detail?
Disorders, yes, in detail.
Okay, thank you.
Because in that course we are doing 2-hour session in each, in one or two disorders. So here we did 2 hours worth of explanation of all the disorders, right? So you can imagine how much of detail that would be.
Yeah, I hear you have given the flavor of the therapies.
Yes, you can go through the structure, the syllabus, and that would clarify it, right? So one last question and then we will end.
I like to know the difference. Hi, hello. I like
Yes,
to know the
hi.
difference between behavior modification and applied behavior analysis. Like, what is the difference between both?
Yeah. Okay. So behavior modification talks primarily about reinforcement, punishment, extinction, all of those things. Basically, either removing or adding a stimulus that would lead to increase or decrease in the desired behavior, increase or decrease in any behavior. Whereas applied behavior analysis talks about understanding the root cause of a behavior, right? So let me give an example. If a child, the example that we used in ABA was that the child walks in a classroom, right? And then they start screaming. Applied behavior analysis understood what makes them scream at the root. It worked on the root and said, okay, let us give the child a noise cancelling headphone, or let them get out and take a break, so that they can manage their sensory overload and then come back in the class and not scream. But had we used principles of behavior modification, we would have punished the child or reinforced the child the days when they did not scream. So if the child has not screamed, come in the class and not scream, then we give them something that they like, so that they continue to not scream, right? But so applied behavior analysis uh, is more detailed, right? It goes in the root cause. We understand what is behind this behavior rather than just seeing the overt behavior, right? So this is the last question, I'm afraid, and I request all of you to go through the feedback form that has been shared in the group, and it would mean a lot to us if you can fill that feedback form. Whatever your feedback, good or bad, we appreciate it. It would be shared in another 1 hour, so please do go through that and share your valuable feedback with us. We will continue to strive to provide good quality workshops to you. Thank you all, and those of you who choose